The same thing. Doing things the right way doesn't get you the result all the time. Until a mentor of mine says the best wrestler doesn't always win. He goes, the most marketable wrestler wins. And that makes a lot of sense. And what I've noticed is that's the same thing in life. I do self-mastery for men, and I work with a lot of men. They're great men on the inside, and they want to help people, and they want to do right by everybody, but they're allowing people to walk all over them. They're allowing their job, brainwashed to be broke. They're showing up early to the job, staying late, volunteering extra, but they're getting overlooked because they're overly available, right? They're not getting the income or the finance they deserve, or they're getting overlooked. Have you ever done the morning routines, the New Year's resolutions? You learned a new book, or you took a class, or you learned a system, and then you defaulted right back to the old way because your identity hasn't caught up. You can even try to change your beliefs. That's why even sometimes personal development is a trap, because you can try to change your beliefs all day long, but if you don't identify as the person that believes that, they'll still come back. You'll be fighting against it. So the strongest thing you can do is to change your identity. Where you're like, well, how do I change my identity? So I'm backstage and I'm depressed as Jared. And then Booker T goes out to the ring, and then they play my song to go out, and all of a sudden I start pouring water on my head, and I start slapping my chest like that, and I go through the curtain, and my shoulders go back. And I'm the most confident guy in the world for 20 minutes. But then when the match was over, I came back, and my shoulders went forward, and my head went down again. But it happened so fast, I go, why was it okay for me to be confident there, but not here? And it happened so fast. It was the first time I recognized, I go, what if I'm actually not playing a character in the ring? What if it's just me expressing what I'm too afraid to express in real life? And so I read a book recently, maybe 2-3 years ago. It's called The Alter Ego Effect by Todd Herm. Have you heard of this book?
Yep, I read it. Yep.
He asked a question. He goes, out of Superman or Clark Kent, which one's the real guy and which one's the fake identity? And it's interesting. And actually, so Clark Kent is the mask hiding that he's really Superman.
Yep.
So in a way, that's what wrestling was to me. It was me like allowing myself to let my inner Superman out, but not realizing I could do that in all contexts.
Hey yo, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Brainwashed To Be Broke series. Today's guest is someone who's helped high performance step into who they really are. Not just on the paper, but on the soul level. He's a former pro athlete, lead trainer for Tony Robbins' top programs, and has worked behind the scenes with some of the biggest names in human transformation. Now, as a founder of Self-Mastery for Men, he helps men reclaim the power they've been outsourcing, break the hidden patterns holding them back, and lead with real confidence in life, love, and business. Super pumped to have him here. Welcome to the show, Jared Ganem. What's up, brother?
Hey, Adam, thank you for having me, brother. It's great to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. It's my honor to have you here, and I'm super excited for this interview. Have a bunch of questions prepared for you, and it's going to be so much fun. I love the energy that you bringing with you. We spent a little bit of just a few minutes before the interview, so I felt how you present yourself already. So it's really exciting time to be here with you. Um,
Thank you, man.
but before we gonna jump into those questions, I would love to hear, and most of the listeners would love to hear, where are you coming from? How did you get into, personal development, and how did all started for you, what it started for you, the entrepreneurship journey?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. It's a loaded question because it's like, where do I begin? So I want to begin with the end in mind. The first thing I want to say is I am obsessed with helping people become the best version of themselves, no matter what that means to them. I think every person, man, woman, they know there's a version of them that's the real them if they could just let it out. But sometimes they feel like they're not living their full potential, or they're not demonstrating it all the way. And so I help people figure out what's holding them back in the first place so they can be who they want to be, do what they want to do, or have what they want to have. And the reason why I'm so obsessed with that is because that was my story. So 5 years ago, you wouldn't have recognized me. I was 6 figures in debt. I was 80 pounds overweight. I was divorced. I was depressed. I was a people pleaser. I was a nice guy. Nothing was working well for me in my life. But if you rewind just a little bit, even before that, the problem with that was I knew better and I had all the potential and I had been successful before,
Hmm.
right? But
Hmm.
even though I knew better, even though I had potential, even though at some point I was successful, doesn't matter because all of your conditioning from the past. I mean, I love the name of your podcast. It's, Brainwashed to Be Broke. Who you are right now is just brainwashing essentially. And I don't mean that literally, but just conditioning from the past, meaning like who you are now is just the past and you're just reliving that over and over and over again. So I became really obsessed with like what is really me, what is not really me, how can I get rid of those things and how can I turn my life around? And so 5 years ago, I hit that point of rock bottom, and that's when I decided to shift everything.
Hmm. Wow. What is really me? That's so powerful question to ask because, and I think not many people are really focus on this type of question also. What do you mean by when you've been asking that type of question yourself? What do you mean in, like how did you or who do you how did you want to understand yourself to be actually able to change things um, the way that will support you on
Mm.
the vision that you had in your life?
Gotcha. To bring that back, what I think is everyone at some level, like I told you before, there's a version of them that knows the real them, but it's unexpressed. There's like unexpressed potential. Either they've got a long way to go and they got to fix a bunch of stuff, or I've even seen people where to other people they're successful, but to them they're like, I'm not even anywhere close to what I know I could be doing if I really stepped into my full
Mhm,
power, you know? And so when I say, well, what's really me? I'm sitting there, it's 3 a.m. And maybe you've been there before, maybe your listeners have been there before, where you're like, it's like the dark night of the soul where you're like, something's got to change. It's got to change right now. No one's coming to save me. I got to figure this out. And I just had that moment where I'm like, you know what? You're more than this. You,
mhm,
you know more than you think you do, but you're just not demonstrating in any way. But so I go, so why am I not living what I know?
mhm,
And I think that's many people's problems too, is people out there, they may know what to do, but it's the matter of actually doing it's a totally different thing. So I go, I know what to do. What's preventing me from doing it? And I go, every decision that you're making or you're not making is because, everything in your life is because of a decision you're making or not making.
mhm,
Okay, so why are you not making a decision? A decision to end a relationship that's not working,
mhm,
a decision to get out of a job. Why are you not making these decisions? Because you don't think you're worth it or you don't think you deserve it.
mhm,
Okay.
mhm,
Well, why do you not think you're worth it or you don't think you deserve it? Okay, that's because of my conditioning. I go,
mhm,
okay, well, where did my conditioning come from? Where did that all come from?
mhm,
And I go, that's my upbringing, my friends, my family, the people that I went to school with, what I learned in school, what I saw on TV. But here's an interesting thing. And I'm totally cool with this. Like I was raised with it, but I was adopted. I was put up for adoption. And so my parents are my adopted parents. And so usually people go, well, I'm just like my parents because they're my parents. I go, wait, there's not 1 ounce of DNA that is from my parents.
mhm,
So why am I playing invisible stories?
mhm.
And I go, if I would have grown up in a different family, would I have been completely different?
Right.
Because I was born in a different country. You said that you're from a different country and then you moved to
Mhm,
London.
mhm,
I was from a different country. I was even from the United States. So if I grew up in a different country, I would have been a totally different person. So I go, interesting. I go, so then what really is me? What's that version of me that would have been there no matter what, whether I was somewhere else, whether I was here? What's authentically me? And what did I just learn because of friends, teachers, growing up, the girls I dated that broke up with me? What's true? And I just started pruning everything, like limiting beliefs and who you think you are, until all that was left was the real version.
mm. So powerful.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that pretty much that something similar I've been going like kind of through because basically what we start applying when I start shifting the way that I see myself, I start questioning everything what we've been taught. Um, and I saw most of the like ordinary people are doing. So I've been like, or how what they believe in. So I basically start questioning all the thoughts that or limit or beliefs that I had, if that's actually true or not, because it seems to me that most of the thing we've been just handed based on somebody else, descriptions, or basically somebody made the things up, and we coming into this world without even knowing what is true or what is not, because nobody actually like tell us the real true, because they think this is the true because somebody basically that's how they've been raised, like from all the generations, for example, from grandparents and my parents and so on, right? So what was the one moment in your life that made you realize that the system wasn't built to make you actually free?
I'll tell you, this is going to sound really strange.
Mhm,
It's the same thing in different contexts. So when I was a kid, and you're a guy, you understand this. You're a kid, you're in school,
mhm,
your parents tell you to be a good guy, you do everything right, you have a crush on somebody, you buy her flowers, you go do everything for her birthday, you give her gifts and all that stuff, and you do everything to be there for her, and she goes, I like you as a friend. not as a boyfriend, and then she wants to go date somebody else at the prom. You know, that was the first one where I was like, wait, okay, so doing what I logically think is the right thing
Mm-hmm.
doesn't actually get results.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. It doesn't mean now people take that to mean, well, I got to go be a jerk instead. No, that's not what that means.
Yep.
What
Yep.
that mean what they're attracted to at that time is confidence, certainty, the ability to like take ownership of yourself. Like there's a certain amount of confidence that they have. So it's not the jerk qualities, it's just owning yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're young, you don't realize that. But what you
Mm-hmm.
think is like, oh, the right way to do things isn't really the right way to do things.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first thing. The second thing, it's a very similar thing, but in a different area.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know professional wrestling?
Yep. Yes. Yeah.
Hulk
Pretty much.
Hogan, The
Yeah.
Rock, Stone
Yeah.
Cold Steve. Yeah. When I was a kid, my grandparents only had like two stations on TV. They had the Golden Girls and they had professional wrestling.
Right.
And I saw the Ultimate Warrior. I saw Hulk Hogan. I go, that's cool. I got in me at 5 years old. That's all I wanted to do. And I got really far. I made it all the way to WWE and I had tryouts in the arenas and stuff. It was really great experience. Um, but the interesting thing is there's the local wrestlers and there's the big name wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
The local wrestlers, they love wrestling. They show up early,
Mm-hmm.
they set up the ring, they volunteer, they take the ring down. They're like, I'm here if you need me.
Mm-hmm.
And they get overlooked.
Mm-hmm.
And then the wrestlers that are the biggest stars in the world sometimes don't do that. They sometimes seemingly don't have the same passion or the same skill or the same whatever. Like Hulk Hogan's not the best wrestler,
Mm-hmm.
but one of my mentors, the wrestlers go, well, I'm not, why even try?
Mm-hmm.
Why even put the effort in if I'm going to put all this work in and not get the result?
Mm-hmm.
The same thing. Doing things the right way doesn't get you the result all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Until a mentor of mine says the best wrestler doesn't always win. He goes, the most marketable wrestler wins. And
Mm-hmm.
that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've noticed is that's the same thing in life. I do self mastery for men, and I work with a lot of men. They're great men on the inside, and they want to help people and they want to do right by everybody, but they're allowing people to walk all over them. They're allowing their job, brainwashed to be broke. They're showing up early to the job, staying late, volunteering extra, but they're getting overlooked because they're overly available, right? They're not getting the income or the finance they deserve, or they're getting overlooked. They're not getting respected in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because they're not doing the right thing. It's because they got to own their internal power.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about being a jerk or doing things the wrong way. It's about just having that true ownership of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. 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 So powerful. So powerful. So how when we go back to your like backstory, how did you get into becoming like athlete, and how did actually your childhood look like?
What did my childhood look like? Okay, I was well, how far back do you want to go? Because I want it to be relevant to your listeners.
Yeah, totally. It's like, I'm usually asking like questions about, like what is the like how actually you've been raised and so on. Like if it was, for example, like what was the, script that you've been actually handed from, if
I
that
see.
was from your
Make,
parents,
make,
grandparents and
yep,
so on. Yeah.
yeah, makes total sense. So I grew up, I was adopted first of all, but that wasn't a big deal. It wasn't like, hey, surprise, you're 18, you're not our kid. It wasn't a thing like that. It was like, hey, when I'm a kid, when I can talk,
Mm-hmm.
hey, where do babies come from? Oh, well, we chose you. Oh, that's wonderful. So it was never an issue for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was brought up to me beautifully and never created an issue.
Mm-hmm.
But my parents, they were middle class, maybe upper middle class.
Mm-hmm.
My dad worked. He worked a 9 to 5. He was the old school generation where
Mm-hmm.
you work until you're 65 at the same place
Yep.
and you get a retirement and you get a watch.
Yep.
My grandfather before him, he was like World War II era,
Mm-hmm.
and he was the guy where he would work overnight at a diner and he would work the night shifts just to make money. And my grandmother took care of my dad. So my dad never saw my grandfather.
Yep. Yep.
And then so that was his generation,
Mm-hmm.
like just work until you puke basically. And then my dad took over. And my grandfather was so impressed because like, oh my God, you have a stable 9 to 5 and you have a retirement plan. It blew my grandfather's mind.
Mm-hmm.
And then my dad goes, hey, you know what? To my grandfather, he goes, you can actually work as a janitor at a school.
Mm-hmm.
And so my grandfather worked at a school. He worked from like 8 a.m. to like 12 p.m. or 2, got summers off, got to pay. He's like, I don't know what I've been missing my entire life.
Yep.
This is my grandfather. My father worked 9 to 5 at a job his whole life. He'd come home, have dinner, like the typical thing. We were making money, I believe, but we never really felt like we had enough. I think we were fine, but my dad was just very financially savvy, or
Mm-hmm.
at least wanted to make sure that he saved a lot. My mother worked 2 jobs. So my mother worked at a school. She was a teacher's assistant, and then she also worked as a customer service manager at a store.
Yeah.
So she had those two different jobs, and um, it was just raised with the typical habits of you work hard,
Mm-hmm.
you save your money, no entrepreneurs really in the family,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just grind and grind, and there's always enough, but there's not just enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's the old school mentality.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember I started a business
Mm-hmm.
when I was older. I was in my mid 20s. I started a business.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing video production. So you ever see like ESPN Sports with the camera
Yep.
cranes and everything like that? I was doing live events, seminars.
Mm-hmm.
I got flown to New York to be the
Mm-hmm.
television director for a seminar that
Wow.
they were putting on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And they flew me in that morning. I did the event. They flew me out that night. I live in Florida. It's the middle of the winter. It's snowing in New York. And they paid me more than my dad got paid in a week at the job that he had. And he's like, "Where did you?" I'm like, "I found this job online."
Mm-hmm.
He goes, "The world is changing so fast." Because like my grandfather working the night shift to him working 9 to 5 to me getting a gig offline,
Mm-hmm.
flying in for the day and coming back and making more than he made in a week. He's like, the world is crazy
Mm-hmm.
how it's grown. So that's kind of my upbringing with
Yeah,
that.
yeah. When I've been watching, like reading your bio, there was also a piece that you've been like, pro athlete. What you been actually, what have you been doing actually like a pro athlete?
If you consider professional wrestling a professional athlete, it's not a real sport in terms of like wins and losses and stuff like that, but
Right, right.
it's just as brutal as any other sport, and there's no off
How did you
season.
get into those type of thing?
I did amateur wrestling in high school,
Okay.
but I only did it because I wanted to be a professional. I didn't know how to get in.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I looked for local wrestling schools in the area,
Yep, yep.
and there was a place in Rhode Island that I went to.
Mm-hmm.
And then what you have to do there is you have to work the local circuit, like the
Mm-hmm.
local town,
Yeah.
and then that expands to regional, then that expands to national a little bit, and then
Mm-hmm.
you get on the radar and you hopefully start to get tryouts with the bigger companies.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a tryout with every major national company that existed at the time. Now there's some more companies that came up,
Yeah.
but I tried out with WWE, Impact Wrestling. It used to be Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. I tried out with Ring of Honor Wrestling. I became a producer for Ring of Honor backstage for a while when I retired. So I did video production and production for them. And then also I was in the truck helping all AEW when they first started. They got the All In program, their first pay-per-view on the air. They called me in to produce that from the truck.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that one too, yeah.
Very cool. So when you've been growing up, what did you want it to always become? Like, who would you like to be, or to be like kind of validated by your parents or people around you?
That's a really interesting question. So I think when I was maybe 10 years old, I got awkward. And I think anybody out there can see themselves in this when they were younger and they went through the awkward phase. I went from being a really athletic kid at 7 years old to suddenly I gained all sorts of weight. I got glasses and I got braces basically in the same month.
Hmm. Hmm.
And like the girls that liked me when I was 7 no longer like me anymore. I'm like, what's going on? And I'm like, well, I'm going to do something so different that no one else is ever going to be able to do it. And I thought like if I do something really significant or something really
Yeah,
cool, then I finally be worth something. And I go, there's not one guy here that's going to be a pro wrestler.
yeah,
I'm going to go be a famous pro wrestler like WWE or Hulk Hogan or something. And then at my class reunion, I'm going to come back and I'm going to have my helicopter and they're going to be like, oh, I can't believe we saw you on TV. That's what I wanted to do.
yeah.
But that was like the one level reason. The real reason is there was a wrestler named Mick Foley. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
No.
He was called Mankind in WWE. They named him Cactus Jack, but he wrote an autobiography. It's a really inspiring story.
Mhm.
He was a guy like me, kind of an awkward kid, grown up, awkward teenager, and he had this dream to be a wrestler, and no one thought he could make it, and he was like the underdog. But he's the rags to riches story, and he got all the way to WWE, and he won the heavyweight championship in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah. That,
And
that,
then he wrote an autobiography, and
mhm,
it was amazing because I think I was maybe 10 to 13 in that age range when he wrote it.
mhm,
That it was a wrestling autobiography. It was more like a personal development book for me because it's like
mhm,
if you believe in your goals, you can make it happen.
mhm, mhm.
And so I wanted to. This was the real reason. I wanted to, of course, tell all my classmates I did something cool. But the real reason at 13 underneath it was I wanted to make it, overcome whatever I overcame,
Mhm.
get to the other side, and then write an autobiography like that guy did, and then inspire somebody else. So I wanted to pass it forward. I
Mhm.
didn't realize I'd be in the personal development business. And I
Mhm.
guess that's what I was looking for the entire time. I just didn't know it existed.
Wow, very interesting.
Yeah.
So, what sports actually mean to you? Like, that wrestling. What did mean it to? Like
What
when
did it
you.
mean to me?
Mm-hmm.
What wrestling meant to me was on the surface, it looks like two guys fake fighting.
Mm-hmm.
But what it really is, if you really understand it, it's mythology because it's about creating characters.
Mm-hmm.
It's branding, it's marketing. It's the best wrestler doesn't win, the best marketed wrestler wins. What
Mm-hmm.
they would always say is you have to discover your it factor. The guys with the it factor is the ones that make it. So it's the guys that have the confidence and the charisma. So for a kid that was kind of socially awkward growing up, it was a chance for me to put on
Ooh,
a confident persona, create a character.
that's
Now
great.
something really interesting happened.
Mm-hmm.
I was having a big time wrestling. It was a tryout with a world heavyweight champion, former world heavyweight champion named
Mm-hmm.
Booker T, five-time heavyweight champion, and I had a match with him.
Mm-hmm.
And on the way there, my girlfriend at the time broke up with me, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
on my way, and I'm depressed, and I have the biggest match of my life coming. She calls me on the phone, "Hey, I broke up with you." I'm like, I'm crying. It's miserable. So I'm backstage and I'm depressed as me as Jared. And then Booker T goes out to the ring, and then they play my song to go out. And all of a sudden, I start pouring water on my head, and I start slapping my chest like that. And I go through the curtain, and my shoulders go back. And I'm the most confident guy in the world
Wow, that's
for
great.
20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But then when the match was over, I came back, and my shoulders went forward, and my head went down again.
Mm-hmm.
But it happened so fast. I go, why was it okay for me to be confident there,
Mm-hmm.
but not here? And it happened so fast. It was the first time I recognized, I go, what if I'm actually not playing a character in the ring? What if it's just me expressing what I'm too afraid to express in real life? And so I read a book recently, maybe 2, 3 years ago. It's called The Alter Ego Effect
Mm-hmm.
by
Yep.
Todd Herm. Have you heard of this book?
Yep. I read it. Yep.
He asks a question. He goes, out of Superman or Clark Kent, which one's the real guy and which one's the fake identity?
Mm-hmm. Super.
And it's
Yep.
interesting.
Yep.
And actually, so Clark Kent is the mask
Mm-hmm.
hiding that he's really Superman.
Yeah. Yep.
So in a way, that's what wrestling was to me. It was me like allowing myself to let my inner Superman out, but not realizing I could do that in all contexts.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what a lot of guys do. I was working with a gentleman one time. He's a pilot in the airlines,
Mm-hmm.
but he's like the captain of the airlines.
Yep.
And so he's in charge of everybody's safety. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, he is the man, right? But when he goes home, he was telling me, he goes, my wife doesn't respect me and I'm having trouble at home. And I go, well, why not? He goes, because I'm passive, I'm lazy. She makes all the decisions. I go, do you do that on the airplane? He goes, no. I go, well, what happens if you take the pilot home where you're on top of things and you got it handled and you're competent? Because I never thought of that before.
Mm-hmm.
I go, there's no difference between the pilot and you at home except you think there's a different context.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing as taking the wrestling character back,
Yeah.
you know?
So powerful. So powerful. This is just that's it's super deep also and so powerful. Would you say how that would you say that the wrestling actually shaped the way you see yourself and who you become in your life?
I think wrestling helped me, but so like for example, a wrestler that wasn't really doing much in his life,
Mm-hmm.
he would go away for 3 months and come back as a new guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he'd have a new character, have a new outfit, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden he'd be the man.
Yeah.
Right? So I think when I was like at rock bottom at 3 a.m.,
Uh-huh.
I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have the greatest character change in the history of pro wrestling. You know, I'm gonna have the comeback now. I'm gonna change my gimmick, and I'm not gonna be the loser anymore. I'm gonna be something else. But it allowed me to be like, maybe I can shape who I am.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe I can actually shape who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And what they would say, and I hate to make this about wrestling, but oddly enough, wrestling taught me so much.
Mm-hmm.
The greatest characters were just the real version of you, just expressed fully.
Mm-hmm.
So Stone Cold Steve Austin is really Stone Cold Steve Austin. The Rock is really The Rock. He's amplified.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, what parts of me is really me dying to be expressed, and how do I let them out?
Mm-hmm.
And I would start acting as that guy now, and that was really helpful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When you when you been in when you've been a wrestler, um have you been already like using this the personal development techniques to actually like start helping other people with them also?
That,
Or
that's a really good question. Thanks for that. That's a really good question. The answer is yes and no. It happened during. So what
Mhm.
happened was I had a major tryout with WWE. I had this pattern in life
Mhm.
where I would get right to the finish line of something and then it would evaporate.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've ever experienced that. Maybe people listening at home, they felt that before. I was just working with a client recently, like yesterday. I was talking to him on the phone yesterday. We're working through this pattern. He goes, I've had this pattern my whole life. I get to the beginning, like I'm dating, I got to start the relationship and it goes away. I go to get the raise and the raise doesn't happen.
Mhm.
or I go to get this promotion and the promotion goes away. Like everything I do, I get right to the finish line, about to win an award at a sport or something like that, and then I self-sabotage. He gets right to the finish line and it doesn't happen.
Mhm.
And that was happening with me. I think we can all relate to that at some level. Um, but what was happening with me is I noticed that was happening in every single area of life. I had a major tryout with WWE one time,
Mhm.
and they were like, "You're exactly what we're looking for. We could hire you right now. You'd be a star." And I'm like, "Yes, here we go." But we're not going to do that. I'm like, "Well, why not?" He goes, "Well, it's not the right time and come back." And they gave me all these different things.
Mhm.
And then I came back the next month and they said, "Hey, kid, why would we hire you?" I'm like, "Because you told me last month that you wanted to hire me." "Well,
Mhm.
why would we do that?" I'm like, "Are you calling us a liar?" I'm like, "That's." So I came back the next month. "Hey, kid, how you doing?" "Oh, you're everything we're looking for." But it was the same guy. He kept telling me two different things. And then so finally he goes, "I could hire you right now. You'd be a star, but I'm not going to do that because," he goes, "you hope that I hire you, but you don't really own the fact that you deserve to be here.
Mhm.
You don't have that real," because I was still at the time, I was maybe in early 20s, 21. I was still a kid. So I was still faking confidence,
Yeah.
but I was still a little bit uncertain to be there. That hurt the worst because he didn't say change your wrestling skill or get
Mhm.
better or get in better shape. He said it's your personality, essentially. You're not confident enough. That crushed me
Mhm.
because that's like that's my character. That's my personal character, not something I could fix, you know? So I was like, how do I figure that out?
Mhm.
And I go, how do I figure out confidence? And I couldn't learn it from wrestling because no one in wrestling is confident. They're all putting on a fake mask.
Mhm.
So I walked to the bookstore. My tryout was at it was at an arena, but there was a local Florida Championship Wrestling is where WWE sent all their guys. It was on Dale Mabry in Tampa. Not that it matters, but I could walk out of the gym and there was a bookstore. And I walked into the bookstore and there was a book called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind.
Mhm.
I'm like, well, let's read. It's like how to create more. So I read that, and that started to get me down the road of confidence. And then I started reading some different personal development books. I got into Wayne Dyer, and then my aunt gave me a Tony Robbins CD,
Mhm.
and it wasn't even the full thing. I think she had bought it in the 70s or the 80s or 90s,
Yeah.
and it was only like she had like three CDs, and the rest of them were lost. And it was like Tony Robbins CD 3, track 5, volume 1.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even the whole thing. And he's like, "When is your dream not really your dream? When is it okay to move on to something?" I'm like, "It's like the right place, right time." And he goes, "The only reason why your dream is your dream is not because you want the thing in the first place. It's because you think it's going to provide something for you."
Mhm. Yeah.
He goes, "You think," because you asked, "What did you want wrestling to do?" You
Mhm.
think it's going to either give you like a sense of certainty,
Mhm.
a sense of variety and fun, a sense of love and connection. Maybe you're going to feel significant or important, or maybe you're going to grow or contribute in some way. And wrestling, it would have given me all of those. I would have felt certain that I made it. I would have had a lot of money if I was wrestling. So that's financial certainty if it worked. I would have had variety because I would have been in a different town every
Yep.
week, on TV. I would have had love and I would have felt worthy of love and connection
Mhm.
because I wanted them to see that I was, but really it was significance.
Mhm.
I would have felt significant because I'm on TV. I would have grown because I'd
Mhm.
have to grow to get there, and I could contribute later because I would be writing a book to inspire somebody.
Mhm.
So wrestling met all six of my needs, but he goes, "You don't even want those things. You just want the needs."
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
he goes, "What could you do that could meet all of those things in a similar way?"
Mhm.
I go, "Interesting." So that got me into video production
Mhm.
because it was arenas, it was travel, it wasn't a 9 to 5 desk job as an accountant somewhere.
Yeah.
It was creative, so I could meet all the same needs with video
Mhm.
and doing that. And then the same thing when because I had a video company, but then COVID hit and the event shut down, and then one of my biggest clients stopped paying me. So
Mhm.
I'm like, well, how do I meet all those needs again? And that turned into personal development because what ended up happening was I found that book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. I
Mhm.
listened to the Tony Robbins tapes. I started going to his events
Mhm.
and I started going to fix me first of all. And that my wife at the time, I'm kind of going deep down the rabbit hole here, but I was going to these Tony events. I was starting my business. My business was starting to work,
Yep.
but my wife started developing a drinking problem at the time, and so I'm trying to save her. I know that I'm not fully confident, so I'm trying to learn all these skills for me.
Mhm.
I start realizing that the people that I'm working with as a producer in wrestling, because ironically enough, I started a video production company and then I got hired to be a producer for wrestlers.
Okay. That's really cool,
I,
actually.
I, I noticed that they didn't have confidence either.
Right. Right.
So I started teaching them the mindset stuff I was
But
learning. And
did you know
th
that before that happened? Like that they don't have the confidence, or did you been like have you noticed that before already?
I think I noticed it more because I knew that I didn't when I was wrestling, but I was able to help them bring that
Yep.
out of them more.
Yeah.
And so some of them moved on. They got hired by WWE a few years later,
Mm-hmm.
which is really cool. So some of them are on TV. I have two wrestlers,
Mm-hmm.
I have an announcer, and I have a referee.
Mm-hmm.
All get to that I coached personally
Yeah.
to get there, which is really cool.
It's awesome.
But I started teaching the wrestlers how to embody confidence there,
Mm-hmm.
and then that turned into, well, if I can help wrestlers, I can help people.
Mm-hmm.
It's just find out, who you really are and let it rip.
Yeah. Yeah. So how would you help somebody who is struggling with this type of problem? What would be like the things that they should focus on to actually overcome this?
Yeah, so I want to take this out of the realm of wrestling for a moment because
Mm-hmm.
wrestling and then chunk it up, there's the higher level pattern. And the higher level pattern is everybody at some level knows that who they are now is not really who they want to be. Like there's another version of them if they could live their full potential.
Yep.
The reason why they're not living it, there's a few steps to this process. So this is my methodology summed up really easily. Number one is whoever you are right now is the sum total of everything from your past
Mm-hmm.
coming to affect you now, and then also what you anticipate and believe about the future coming back and hitting you now.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you an example. If you set a GPS,
Mm-hmm.
if you put one destination, it changes the route. If you put a different destination, it changes the route to something different. But many people take their past, make that permanent, and then project it into the future.
Mm-hmm.
It's never going to change. So who you are now is your past, also, and what you think about the future.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that comes together. That's step one is that. Step two is that comes together and it creates something called your model of reality.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's got a different model of reality. They got different beliefs. They got different values. They identify differently, by the way. You were talking before about different beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know a belief is a belief? Like there's beliefs and there's a fact. A fact is it's true for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
A belief is it's true for me, but it might not be true for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Money's hard to make. Is it always hard to make? Does that guy have money? You can't make money in a recession. Okay, well, that guy just made more money in a recession than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So is it true? So a lot of times your beliefs are only true for you
Mm-hmm.
because you made it a self-fulfilling prophecy. So those two things come, it creates your model of reality, but it's not necessarily 100% true. It's just the reality you're conditioned to. And that creates your identity.
Mm-hmm.
Your identity isn't even 100% real because it's all based on your conditioning,
Mm-hmm.
right? Your identity is the strongest held belief about yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so when people say there's another version of me somewhere, what they're saying is there's a version of me before the world trained me how to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a version of me before the conditioning. So that's where we are now. What you want to do first of all is you want to do as best as you can to get rid of everything that is not you from significant emotional events, anger, sadness, fear, guilt, shame from the past, things that happened to you. Clear those. And then once you clear those, you want to say, now that I'm clear from that, how do I want to show up instead on purpose?
Mm-hmm.
How do I want to identify? If I really was that person now, what would I believe? What would I value? How would I show up every day? So you're living as your future self right now. And then once you do that, it's a process of conditioning it over time. And then once you condition it over time, the last thing is just follow a proven process. So for example, if you never knew how to make money in business, figure out how to do business. If you never knew how to save money financially because you have no financial skills, read a book on finance or something like that, right? But what people do is they put the skills and the strategy first,
Mm-hmm.
but they haven't fixed the other stuff. And so that's why they'll do like 2 steps forward, 5 steps back,
Mm-hmm.
because they're trying to add skills on top of a faulty foundation.
Yeah.
You've got to clear the foundation first.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's coming to all to those three basically principles, right? You have to become to do the things and to have the things,
Mm-hmm.
right? Are you following these three principles in every piece of your in your life?
Can you word that? Am I following those 3 specific principles in every aspect of my life?
Yep.
I would say yes. So here's what I do. If I see an external problem,
Mm-hmm.
I've learned enough now to realize that if I try to attack that problem externally,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be banging my head against the wall.
Yep. Yep.
So the first thing I do is I go, what is that problem telling me about me,
Mm-hmm.
about my resistance or what I believe about something? What's it reflecting?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll look inside and I'll say, okay, what is that similar to what I've responded to in the past? I'm like, oh, that's very similar to this.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll say, well, what am I making that mean?
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll work on my own internal perception of it, or I'll let it go internally. And when I let it go internally, many times the external changes almost automatically,
Hmm.
or I'll find an easier way around it,
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do my best to not attack things externally. I go internal first and fix that.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, because everybody knows that basically, or most of the people knows that when it comes to business, basically, it's 90% of mindset, and then there is just a 10% of tool set, and without you becoming the person that they can actually use the tool set, you're going to struggle all the time, right? It's not that you going to be able to do something because most people having those three principles in backwards, they see somebody having something and they want it also. So they think that they're gonna do the thing, but they never focus on becoming the person that they can actually do that, right? And this
Yes.
is like you can see it in most of the people, especially in the early stages that they are starting business, and they are not there long enough. But I love the analogy, like when I love studying about my mindset, Myron Golden, because he is like spiritually and the business is really like resonate with me. And he said something like that when you are coming to be to have, there is always gap between all both of those, you know, between be and between doing there is a gap, and you have to fill the gap somehow. And he's teaching you that you should fill the gap basically with uh with intentionality, become intentional about everything what you do, how you see the world, how you see yourself, how you see like what you do in every day, and how like how you yeah basically how you operate in normal in life, and
Yeah.
then that's going to fill the gap uh, between being and doing. So what is this is pretty much like, is that something that you agree on, or how do
I
you
com
see that? Yeah.
I completely agree on that. There's a book called Psycho-Cybernetics,
Oh, yeah, yeah, I read
but
that.
Maxwell Maltz, he says you can't outperform your self-concept no matter what.
Hmm. Hmm.
You'll always fall to the level of what you believe your identity is. And then Tony Robbins puts it differently. He goes, the strongest force in the human personality is the need to remain consistent with how you identify as yourself.
Hmm. Yeah.
So whatever you attach I am to, you become. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. People attach that to their failures. I am a failure. I am a loser. I
Mhm.
am unlucky.
Yeah.
I am sick,
Yeah.
right? And it creates
Yeah.
the thing. But also you want to take those things and make them just circles like, hey, I feel sick right now, right? Or hey,
Mhm.
I'm not always succeeding. You don't make an identity. But the other thing you can do too is you can elevate things. So if you go, I'm trying to eat healthy versus I am a healthy person,
Mhm.
it's stronger, you
Mhm.
know.
Yep.
But one thing I found is that you can try to add all the strategies in the world. Have you ever done the morning routines, the New Year's resolutions? You learned a new book, or you took a class, or you learned a system, and then you defaulted right back to the old way.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's because your identity hasn't caught up.
Mhm.
You can even try to change your beliefs.
Mhm.
That's why even sometimes personal development is a trap, because you can try to change your beliefs all day long, but if you don't identify as the person that believes that, they'll still come back. You'll
Mhm.
be fighting against it.
Yeah.
So the strongest thing you can do is to change your identity. Where you're like, well, how do I change my identity? Your identity is only built up from your past conditioning,
Mhm.
and your past conditioning, like who you are as a person, is
Mhm.
only to avoid pain and to gain pleasure.
Mhm.
And so in your life, you basically have like trapped emotions, anger, sadness, fear, guilt, shame, things from the past. If you can release the trapped emotions, everything else will start to identify and line up almost automatically, and you become someone that's like unencumbered by your past anymore.
Mhm.
And then things start to become easier.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. So powerful. So if what would you say to somebody who is like who is starting out and who would like to uh dive deep into becoming, for example, a uh, coach of like personal development, how you would start to like where would you start to learn things, and like what type of things you would focus on the most to actually become a
First thing I would do is lead yourself first, no
hmm
matter what. Lead yourself first, and have expertise in the thing you're trying to teach.
hmm
Because I've seen so many people right there. If I came on your show and I was still 80 pounds overweight, I was still six figures in debt, I still had horrible relationships, you
yeah,
shouldn't listen to me.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
totally.
Um, my girlfriend one time, she's like, I was certified in every coaching methodology under the sun. I was a certification junkie. She goes, well, you gotta make money. Let's make a website for you. I go, you gotta take the website down. She goes, why? I go, I haven't had the results yet. I
Mm-hmm.
go, I'm still overweight. I'm still figuring myself out. I'm still in debt. I can't help anybody until I figure this out. And I see it because everybody can go online and get a certification now.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's coaching in something, but I've coached some of these people and they're like, I'm teaching financial literacy. I'm like, great. What's going on with you? Oh, I'm in massive debt. I go, you've got to be able to be the embodiment of what it is that you're looking to help.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I would say, and I don't mean you have to be 100% perfect in everything, but imposter syndrome is just telling someone to do something you haven't done.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you're one step up the ladder, if you can help someone to get to your step, then you're good. But what I mean is like if you're going to be a leader or coach somebody, I think it's absolutely important that you lead yourself first
Mm-hmm.
and you get mastery over it. Do you know what I mean? And then the second thing I would say is really get an understanding of how the brain works, right?
Mm-hmm.
How patterns work. Look into things. I'm a huge fan of NLP,
Mm-hmm.
not in a manipulative sense, but NLP is the theory of everything. It was created by a bunch of geniuses that took the best therapists in the world, and they said, let's basically reverse engineer what the best, most successful people in therapy and speaking and influence did, and let's see how we can repeat that. So it's the proven process of almost everything. It's not even like a study. It's like how I run my life from now on. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so I think first of all, master yourself. Second of all, really get an understanding about how the mind works and how to help people improve. And then third, just really be out there to help serve people. I think people can tell your intention.
Yeah, yeah, so good. How did you actually get into Tony Robbins, being the top leader of his programs and, coach behind them?
Oh, thank you. I don't know if I'm the top leader of his programs, right? I think that's nice of you to say. I appreciate it. But so basically, I'm a trainer for Tony Robbins, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he has trainers that go to his events. What that is you start out as a participant,
Mm-hmm.
and then you go through the events,
Mm-hmm.
and then you go, hey, I really like this, and I want to go through the leadership track.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go through the leadership track, and then you learn some of his skills, and so, like how does he do the interventions and things like that? How does he help people? And then you can apply, and then you end up becoming something called the senior leader, and that's almost like an apprenticeship,
Mm-hmm.
where you're like learning from people that are higher up than you. You're
Mm-hmm.
applying, but you're helping the participants at the events,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then it's not a guarantee that you'll become a trainer.
Mm-hmm.
That's an invitation only position after you embody a certain level of mastery. I was a senior leader. I was in my before stage because I was still learning, right?
Yep.
And then COVID hit, and I took a few years off. Some people let COVID get the worst of them. That's when I lost it and then came back.
Mm-hmm.
So I came back after COVID. I had turned everything around, and I no longer needed the external validation anymore. I was no longer looking for applause. Just like I am who I am, and that's it. And I showed up like I was like 260. I showed up at 180, and my finances turn around, and they go, hey, he's actually living these principles, so we're going to promote him to trainer because he's not just talking about it, he lives this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So what that means is at these events they'll have different Zoom rooms or things like that. And like my business, what I do, I'm not associated or affiliated with him in terms of my business, but at his events I go help him out with his stuff, and I'm able to help participants with what they need, answer their questions. I'm able to do interventions on them if they need help because he can't work with everybody.
Yep.
And he has a team of trainers there. And I've been lucky enough to get invited to be a presenting trainer, which is really cool. So they've invited me on stage at some of the other events, and I've been able to share some of my story and teach from example. And that's been a real blessing.
Amazing, amazing. All right, I think we have a exact time to wrap up, I think. Thank you so much for being here. That was amazing to have you here and share with us the whole incredible insights and knowledge what you gain. But before I let you go, I have a last question for you. What would be if this interview would be your last, what would be the message you would love to leave behind you for others?
Your past doesn't have to equal your future.
Mhm.
You're not your conditioning, and there's that version of you that's the real you. All you got to do is claim it and step into it. And also, change doesn't have to take decades or years or painstaking therapy or anything like that. If you think about it, real change happens rapidly. If you think about like there's a bamboo shoot and it's underneath the ground and it grows roots, and then it goes bam and it explodes and it grows in a matter of in a very short amount of time. That's like that. Look at technology. Like it was nothing, and then it's the airplane, then it's computers, now it's AI. Like it's exponential. In finances, it's exponential compounding growth. It's a little bit, and then it explodes.
Mhm.
So you don't have to take 10, 20, 30 years to get over something that happened to you 30 years ago. If you know what it is, you know where to look, you can change rapidly, almost overnight, and you can get tremendous results. It can be an explosion of growth. It doesn't have to take a long time.
So cool. Where people can find you and join your program or support you.
Yeah, so I have a Facebook group. It's for free. It's for men. I help everybody, but my brand is basically to help out men because that's what I can speak to personally. It's called Self Mastery for Men. So it's facebook.com/groups/self mastery for men, or you can go to selfmasteryformen.com and you can get links to everything there.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. And for everybody who's listening, if there's still something in you, don't ignore it. Share it with someone who needs it. Subscribe, leave a review. And remember, you weren't born to follow the script. You weren't born to be free. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Adam.